Okay, I think everything's all set up. Let me show you. I put it in Discord, so you guys probably have already seen, but let me show you where we are with indoor layouts. They look pretty good. The stairs, you can see, aren't working, but other than that, fairly working. They look pretty good, I think. We don't have a lot of variety of like items that they sell, especially at this time of year. If I change the time of year to Christmas, there'd be a lot more variety. But you know, I just need to excuse me. I just need to add a lot more like decor type items for year round and for spring and Easter time and all that. I don't really have an editor tool thing for this yet, so we're gonna do that this stream. Let me go into, hold on, go into something. I didn't break that. Hold on. Did we make changes to that in the last 2 commits? No. Okay, good. All right, so we need to look at the merchant file, I believe. But yeah, I want to have it so I can just like click anywhere I want to make the room a different shape and size, and then click anywhere I want to have different types of placements for like floor items and these shelf items and these table items and windows and all that. So that's what I'll do today. I just gotta figure out how I want to do it. Let me show you. If I go, I think it's here. This file is a mess. It needs to be cleaned up like every other file in the game, but I was playing out with different ways to compress this kind of data. This isn't even like the full amount of data, but I ended up being able to stringify it in a pretty compressed way. This stores a giant array, and it's only 215 characters long, and that's with the quote selected. Yeah. So that's really, really good. So I'm gonna use that. I just need to have it so it updates that. Since I did the commits, I can probably get rid of this shit, because if we ever want to look at it again, you know, it's in the git thing. This stuff, I'm just curious. I have a lot of extra like tabs and comments and stuff here. I'm just curious how large this is. About 1800 characters. It's not terrible for a layout, especially of this size. And that's counting a lot of extra stuff like all the tabs and the comments and everything. I think what I will do in the future, since we'll probably have X, Z, R, and ID attached to them pretty much at all times, I'll make this probably an array where it'll be X, Z, R, and ID, right? All those values, and then a metadata object. That's the last thing that we can throw anything extra in if we want to have model and Y and whatever else we might want to throw in there, but most of the time it won't. So this will be quite a bit fewer characters, you know, doing something like this. If we just bring these exact values in here. In theory too, if I am going to be doing a lot of like tenths of values, whoops, that's not what I wanted, like these 0.5s and stuff, I can just multiply the entire layout by 10 for storing purposes, and then divide them by 10. You know, it would just get rid of that decimal, which also brings down the size of it. I guess we'll always store rotation. That's needed most of the time. And then ID. And then in this case, I guess we would have Y for that particular one. So it doesn't save a whole lot. So it's, how many characters? This is 28 versus 21. I don't know if it's really worth it, but we will see. That's not the goal for today anyway, though. The goal for today is being able to easily edit these layouts. I can very easily edit them in code, but I want to have like a a visual thing where I can just plop things down and not have to refresh or paste things in console or do anything fancy. I just want to really the opposite of fancy, I guess. The fancy way would be having a proper editor. And I'm sure most of you see my village editor. I'm not going to go to that right now because I can't get out of it easily without refreshing the game. But it'll be very similar to that, hopefully. Okay, so inside our room.js file as well, that's where we're encoding and decoding the layouts. Let's look at where we have. So our buffer function is this. I want to be able to recall this buffer function without re-decoding the layout. So I want to throw something in here, and edit mode isn't really what I want. I really just want properties on this. And then let's look at everywhere we're doing edit mode. It's probably just, yeah, just a couple places. How do I want to look at this? Oh, we'll default this to be an empty object. Okay, that should work, I think. I don't think I broke anything. But then I also want to be able to pass through properties dot something. And maybe edit mode would actually be applicable in this instance, but since I don't know what I'm doing with that yet, I'm just going to have something called, I don't know what I want to name it, but if properties dot, I don't know, layout editor. I know edit mode is a similar thing, but since again I don't know how I'm going to do this long term, maybe I should be working on the way that the player is actually going to be able to edit the layouts as well. But I don't want to do that right now. We'll have it working like this, and then in the future make it all better. I guess I want an else here. And do we need encode it? We'll keep encode it there. And then decode it. Instead of decoding the encoded layout, the decode it will be maybe we'll just use layout decode it, and that's when we'll be editing. And then we need to have a way to encode it to put it into the JavaScript file at the end. I think that'll work. So in theory now, here, let's just throw this in and make sure nothing breaks. We shouldn't really see any change doing this. I still gotta look into that console error. But if we find the entity for room, so it's world.indoors.entities, and I think it's at index, I don't know, like 6 or 7 or 8. 8, okay. If we just run the buffer function, okay, that works. And then if we throw in, whoops, that's not what I want. Wait, did the buffer function work? Maybe it didn't. Did I clear the error by accident? Hold on. Okay, it didn't work, and I might have cleared the error by accident, I guess. I wasn't. What view was I in though? Hold on. Was I not in all messages? Was I in user messages maybe? All right, let's refresh. Or maybe I made an infinite loop. Is that possible? Where could an infinite loop have been introduced? Because it's like the tab is hanging now. If properties layout editor, otherwise, var. We should have this defined outside of the conditional, I guess. But we didn't pass through layout editor, so it shouldn't have really mattered. Weird. All right, let's just refresh and see what happens when I call that again. See if we can. Yeah, I can't even refresh. The tab is completely frozen. Weird. Okay, let's see how this goes. So hopefully I'll even be able to walk into this house without it breaking, but I'm not so sure now. It just hangs. It doesn't even give an error because it's just hanging. Huh. It can't even get to the error because it's like some sort of weird infinite loop. Huh. Okay, weird. How did I manage that? So if properties.layout error, but that is not being called, definitely not being called. Are we like defining properties somewhere else? I really don't think so. So if that's not defined, if that's not a thing, then we set indoors.layout decode it to that. That's what we were using. Then layout decode it. Could it be something with the edit mode that I changed? So bizarre. Oh, well, this is not the same function, maybe? Oh, these fucking files and functions are so long. I think it is. Okay, that one is. But this one is too, yeah. There's a better way to scroll with this mouse. I like my trackpad better on my laptop. I could scroll much more easily. How weird. It doesn't throw an error, it just freezes the tab. I mean, I can get rid of this conditional. But I don't see how that breaks it. I really don't understand what change I made. Yeah, I can't even refresh the tab. It's so annoying. I have to close it, which it gives me issues with, and then open a new tab. How did I manage to break this so badly? It's just when I'm streaming too. If I was doing this off stream, it wouldn't be broken. Everything was going so well when I was working on this off stream. The second I start streaming, weird issues pop up. Alright, let's see if it's that conditional that's breaking it. I guess I'll have console open even though it doesn't report the error because it freezes the tab. Okay. Going in and broken. Okay. Let me, I guess, undo all of my changes? I guess? I don't know what to do. Did I accidentally like add it? Well, I accidentally added a G there, but that shouldn't have mattered. Huh. And that was edit mode before. Okay, so did I make a change in this file? No, that was just my little notes. And then I deleted this stuff, but that shouldn't matter either because here it is defined here. Weird. Alright, so then I guess it was whatever I changed there. I guess we gotta close, oops. We gotta close that tab and try it again. It's so weird. So in theory, this should work. I don't really understand why the other version broke it, but at least if this works, we know what was breaking it for the most part. I won't know why it was breaking it. All right, I hope this works. Yeah, okay. Fucking weird. We can just pass through another. I'm just gonna call this layout update or update layout. Yeah. Hey, Cold Zero, how you doing? Yeah, I'm not gonna pass this through as properties because that was breaking it. Hopefully this way doesn't break it. So we'll have layout defined. We'll have layout here. Whoops. And then we need to have some sort of conditional using. So we're gonna say if update layout. Else. And then in here, I think we're just going to say our layout is our indoors.layout to code it. That should exist. You managed to finish porting that 1 week or 2 player AR code. Got it working on NTSC. Also translated it to fully functional assembly. Sorry, I can't read. Very cool. I'm glad to hear that. Is it all like much more efficient now? Did you get to doing the medley thing or not yet? Just the translation to AR code thing or translation to assembly thing? But that should also make it more efficient or not really? Okay, but I'm glad to hear that. So let's see if this works, I guess. So weird how it broke before. All right, paste that in. And then we're going to call just a regular buffer on it. Oh, I couldn't do that because it gave me an error before, right? So it's game.world.indoors.entities at index8.buffer. Okay, no errors, that works. Now, the thing to really try is if we pass through the second one as true. Okay, that also works and doesn't break everything. Good. You haven't really made it more efficient per se, though there are some distinct advantages of doing it with assembly. Okay, cool. Well, now you can at least move on to the whole reason you were basically moving it is to try it out with, or maybe there are more than just this reason, but one of the reasons was to try using medley, and that should be better that way, right? And also possibly the only way to do that. You got it working. Cool. I'm glad to hear that. It works well. Is it everything you hoped for? So now the second character, player number 2 or whatever, is the medley model instead of Link, right? Is it just 2-player, or is there like, can you do like 3, 4, 3-player, 4-player, all that, or is it just like local? I don't remember what it is. Sorry, I have a bad memory. I know it's like multiplayer, Wind Waker, but like, oh well, you said in the first message 2-player AR code, so it's just 2-player, right? And it's local, right? It's not like online. Okay, so in theory, now that we have this update layout thing running, we can update our decoded layout and then just call the buffer function again, and then it should use that new tile. So if I were to like stand here and then set my values in the object for the room layout. So let's look at what the decoded layout looks like. So that'd be game.world.indoors.layout, I believe. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Is it just layout decode it? Okay. Layout decode it. Okay. So we have all these values, and they specify what elevation they're at what tile, right? So in theory, I can just directly edit that object. Let's try that out. I'm going to stand out here outside the world or outside the room. And the highest value we have here is like 4035. Let's just try if we can do R 45 equals 1, right? And then if we recall that buffer function, oh, okay, cool, that works. Very good. Very, very, very good. That's so exciting. So we can instantly update the layout. We just need to have it so it's tied to like some sort of cursor location now. So in theory now, if I do this and rebuffer it, Why did that not add to it though? It's not. It's clearing something. It's resetting the decoded layout afterward somewhere. Hold on, let's try that. We should have 2 tiles wide now, but instead it reset it. So it's just moving it. I don't know how much we could push it really, and it'll be extremely hard to get an online thing working for a GameCube game. I know there are existing methods with modified versions of Dolphin Emulator. I haven't looked into that though. Well, local is definitely good enough, I think. In fact, if personally, if I had to choose between one or the other, just online or just local, I would personally choose local. I think that's cooler. I wish I could do local with my video game here. The multiplayer we have is just with what was it, WebRTC or whatever, the peer-to-peer thing. In theory, I guess you could do it local, except I don't know how the inputs work, by having 2 different like tabs open, 2 different windows open on the same computer. That would be able to run it multiplayer, but having 2 different inputs would be complicated. But I can maybe change the settings so that'd be possible. But that's a pretty hacky way to do it anyway. Haven't console tested this yet though. Well, what does that mean? You could actually run it on a GameCube and not just through like an emulator? How would you do that? You'd have to like write it onto a disc or something and then put it in the GameCube? Or is that not what console test it is? I didn't even know you could do that. Okay, so somewhere our layout decoded is being written again. We're doing a decode layout. Somewhere else. I guess in theory. No. Where are we encoding? I don't think we are calling encoding, just for when we export it, which we're not doing. So that's our function. Yeah, we're not calling that anywhere though. So why is it not updating it itself? A modded console, huh? That's really interesting. This is weird how it's not retaining the value. So if I call buffer again, does it clear that? Yeah, it does. So when I call update layout, it's still running this sometimes? Why would it? If we have that set to true, it shouldn't run that. Maybe I should just console log every time we run this function and see if it's coming through more times than we expect it to. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's weird. I don't think it is. That'd be weird. Just throw that in there so it'll console log every time it buffers. Okay, so if we just call this, oh, it does call twice. What the hell? So the buffer function calls the buffer function within it? Wait, what? But that would be an infinite loop, so it can't do that. Unless it somehow is doing it only once. If it's not edit mode, it calls buffer again and sets edit mode true? The fuck? Why was I doing that? I'm sure I had a good reason. So it buffers it for edit mode as well. What was edit mode even doing? I don't remember. I think it might have been changing how the walls looked, which we're not going to do anymore. So we can probably get rid of all of the code for edit mode. More than likely. Yeah. All right, let's just get rid of that, everything about edit mode, because that's old code that we don't need anymore. I guess we'll... all of this needs to be rewritten, but we'll just overwrite them for now. Okay. All right, that should fix things. And our old edit mode is now this update layout thing. Okay, so now if I write to that, I know I'm a little behind chat. I'll read it in a bit. Cold arrow. Okay, so now if I do that, and then buffer, okay, we have that one. And then if we place down another one, move it over a little bit, and those should connect now. Oh, because I'm calling 0, 1. We don't want to do that anymore. So now we just want to call 1, and then paste this in, update it, and then paste in this one, update it. Yes, they connect now. Okay, cool. I know that the one with link would technically boot on Wii, but viewports were broken, and second controller wasn't taking, and I couldn't get it to boot past logos on GameCube. That's for console testing it, right? Okay. Do you need it to work on a console, really? Is that important? Is it not good enough to just run an emulator? Because wouldn't that... like more people are going to be running this on an emulator than a modded console. Like, I would think. Is there a giant community of people out there that just need it to run on their modded console? However, now that it's done with assembly and it's a less memory expensive actor with medley, it might be better. Yeah, I would hope so. Because then you get what you want. There might have been issues with running it via AR code on actual console. Pain with this though is that an AR code is small and simple to get onto the console. Assembly method means rebuilding the entire game ISO. To me, it is. I got into modding after getting into modding my GameCube. Okay, I mean that's cool if it's important to you. In some ways, it's kind of unfortunate because that just means more work to you. But if you're having fun, then it's all good. Hey, Edad, how are you doing? Okay, so we can update these layouts now. So now, in theory, I can build some sort of tool that gets my player's position, converts it into our layout space, updates the layout, and then calls this buffer function with update layout on. How I want to do that for sure, I don't know. I might just have some sort of, and this really shouldn't just be a merchant, but for now it is, and that's just what we're gonna have to deal with. All this code needs to be cleaned up, but I'm just gonna write some sort of function that's like game dot indoor layout editor, I guess. Shitty names, but whatever. Just throw active to false. We'll just define the object just as that. That's good enough. And then we will have an init function here, I guess, that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. It probably shouldn't be right here, but we can clean it up later on. And then other things I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. Wouldn't be so bad if my computer still had an SD card port. I didn't put it into a disk to test it on GameCube. I put it on an SD card. Can't you just buy like one of those little USB to SD card readers like on Amazon or whatever for like $10? I have one of those. I think I got it for free. Would that not be good enough? Maybe those don't write. Maybe those only read. I don't know. No, they definitely write. Yeah, just go on like Amazon, search the USB to SD adapter, and there's probably one for like $10 or less, and just get that. Okay, so indoor layout editor. What else do we want to have? I guess an update function of some sort. Not sure how I want to do any of this yet. We're gonna have some sort of cursor, I guess. How was I pushing the update loop thing for our village editor. So I don't remember. Is it not here? Is it not an update? Is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong file, aren't I? Yes, I am. I have two files named village.js in two different folders. All right, so here we have init, UI init. Okay, so where are we sending the debug update function to be called inside the update loop? I don't remember how I'm doing that. Is it just the yeah, probably it's just shit code where I'm just manually saying if it's active, then run update, which is stupid of me. Hold on 1 second. I got a text. Okay. Yeah, it's probably something shitty, and I really want to have these slaves get pushed and popped into an array to run these update functions. But if I go to, I don't know what I'm calling it, debug village. Yeah. There, I even have my little note about how I need to move this because this is terrible. You don't have one on you right now, right? We support SD cards by default, but there are methods available to use SD cards with GameCube as well. I use the memory card method, memory card that acts as an adapter, plugging SD card into memory card ports. Right. Well, you should get one probably because they're useful to have anyway. And I mean, yeah, I know you don't have one right now, but wouldn't it still be useful to you in a week from now or whatever? I love my little one. I use it. My laptop has SD ports still, but my desktop doesn't. So if I ever need to import stuff on my desktop, I use that little adapter. I think they're good to have, even if you didn't need it for this particular instance. Just in general, they come in handy, and they're pretty cheap. All right, so this is our game dot whatever, because this is stupid how I'm doing this. In layout indoor editor and then update, and then in here, I guess we need to have a UI and everything for this, but I guess we'll just say, well, in init we're gonna set it to active. Let's just have this stored as a reference. Var editor is that, and then editor.active is true. Probably do the same thing here because it'll probably be useful. And then I guess we want to say if, let me see how I was doing this before. Inside, I guess, this file. Probably inside here. Yeah, we probably want to have a cursor entity, but since we don't yet, just do it this way. So if we are pressing action A, which is, depending on your input, either left mouse click or A button on your gamepad or Z on the keyboard, or comma if you're using the other hand. But you know, if you're pressing any of those keys, I guess I'm gonna allow you to hold them. Then if we are updating the layout, we want to call the buffer function again, and we want to write to it. And to write to it, we probably again should have a cursor position, but we're just going to use the player's position for now. So we're going to say we convert our player position into layout space. So that is going to be game.world.player.position.x minus game.world.indoors.x, right? And then that's going to be multiplied by 2, and then we're going to, I suppose